how to create a repository and set up GitHub releases so that you can use them with SideQuest. So what I've got here is just the main screen of GitHub after I've created an account. I'll skip that bit and I'll let you do that yourself. But effectively what we're looking for is the repositories, and here there's a convenient link to create a repository. So that's the first thing we need to do. This repository doesn't necessarily have to have anything in it. We need to create one file just to get it past the initial boilerplate stage. But it doesn't have to contain your source code or anything along those lines. We're just planning to use the releases feature of GitHub here. So we'll be skipping past most of the repository stuff. But this step is just required to kind of kick you off. So we'll go ahead and create a repository. And we'll just call it test repo. Put anything in as the description. Now at this point, it's handy to tick this little box because this will automatically create that first file for you, which means the repo is ready to go as soon as we hit create repository. But on the other hand, I'm just going to skip that to show you what to do if you miss that step. So I'm just going to go ahead and click create repository. So here we are on the initial setup screen, and this is what you get, the boilerplate, whenever a repository is created. As you can see, there's sections here that are blocked off until we pass this step. Usually you can push from an existing repository or you can create a new repository. So those are the options you've got here. But what I'm just going to do is just create a README, click on that link, and commit new file. At which point this is the normal view that you would see on any GitHub repository. I'm sure this looks reasonably familiar, if not bare. What we're looking for is this bit here, the releases. This is basically where you'll go. You won't really go anywhere else other than that. So it's quite simple. We just want to create a new release. We're going to give it a version. This version will be what ends up on your listing on SideQuest. And when you integrate GitHub releases, we'll use the release ID to decide whether or not apps will get an update. So I'm just going to call this test version. And we'll go ahead and save a draft. Now I'm going to add an APK to that version. Just for the purposes of the demo, I'm going to add the wrapper application for the SideQuest launcher. This is the app that's responsible for the unknown sources link whenever you install the SideQuest launcher. So I'm just going to drag and drop that onto the uploader. And there we go, there's our file in the release. Now I'm just going to go ahead and publish that release. And now we're brought back to the release page, and here we have the file that we've just uploaded. Now, we can just grab the direct link to this file, but what we're going to do is we're going to use the GitHub release integration in SideQuest. So it means that we're going to link to this, and we're going to keep it as the very latest file. So at this point, I'm going to swap over to SideQuest. Now I've filled out all of these details already, so I'm just going to go ahead and click sign up. So now we're signed up to SideQuest. We're ready to go ahead and start creating app listings. So I'm just going to go ahead and click add app. Fill out some of this info as quickly as I can. I believe it was the wrapper No, sorry. Okay. I'm just going to add an image. Anything at all. So it's down here in the app URL section that we can start to hook this up to GitHub releases. So we can enable GitHub releases and we can find our user on GitHub by just typing in the name of our user. And you can also use an organization. Once you type in the right one, it'll pull in all the repos. You click that and then it'll pull in the releases. So you've got a latest option here, which will basically be obviously whatever the latest release is. That's the one that will show up on your page. So I'm going to go ahead and save that app as it is. Now, if we scroll down again, you'll see there's an extra button here to copy a webhook URL. So essentially, this webhook will allow you to delegate automatic updates to your users. Your users will be able to get a notification in their account screen on the SideQuest website to say that there's been an update to the app, and they'll be able to update it alongside all the rest of their apps with one convenient step. So I'm just going to click Copy Webhook URL, and the final step here is that we need to use this webhook URL in GitHub and set up a webhook between GitHub and SideQuest. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the settings section on my repo, and we have a webhooks section. And in here we're going to add a webhook. Now, quite simply, we just need to paste the link that we just copied into the payload URL box. We want to set the content type to JSON. That's important. We can leave the secret blank. We've got a token in the URL. And then down here we want to select which webhook events that it receives. So it's important that you only select release event webhooks. Any other type of webhook will simply be ignored, but please spare my server of receiving them. So yeah, by default you've got pushes. We don't need that, so we'll untick that and tick releases. Active, we want this webhook to be live immediately, basically. And we just go ahead and click Add Webhook. And that's it. This little tick here means that the webhook was delivered successfully. What the webhook does and what the setting up of the GitHub releases here on your page does is it will obviously show the latest download on the listing page, but it will also automatically populate this GitHub release URL into your listings, and it will also automatically set your version code and your version name. So the version name is whatever the tag was that you created on your GitHub release. So as soon as you push a new release to GitHub, as soon as you publish a new release, it will check for an update. It will update the version code, update the version name, and update the URL, the latest URL to download. So that's basically all you've got to do at that point. You can just publish releases on GitHub, and it will automatically propagate down to updates to your users. And that's basically it. Now just save that app, and once your app becomes approved, you're ready to go. Well, that's basically it. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.